Hello there, my name is Rich. I like to talk about animation, and today we're going to talk about a segment I like to call Abandoning Animated Films. Abandoning Films is sort of a segment I do once in a long while, talking about animated films are not that popular or well known, but they're actually good or kind of terrible, but still very interesting to talk about. And today I accidentally saw La Leyendas of the Chicacuales. I know I messed it up, I'm so sorry. But besides that, the Leyendas or trilogy to anciently called Legend Quest. You may have heard of this because Netflix has two series of Legend Quest on that on their own website. He also I did a review of Legend Quest in my channel. Maybe you heard of it because of me, or maybe you heard of it because you have a friend who likes Legend Quest. But besides that, if you don't know what is Legend Quest, basically sort of the Mexican version of Scooby Doo. But instead, in 1950s, it's more or less in between 1800s or 1900s in the Mexican Revolution, but only focusing on a child called Leo who actually has a special abilities to see dead people. And he doesn't know why, but he doesn't want this power. But it made it interesting. But every time he sees a ghost or a magical creatures, he attempted to sort of avoid it or maybe got curious. He sort of struggled with himself what is the best choice to approach it, but usually he does help out. And that's basically the whole idea of the franchise of Legend Quest. But this is the fascinating thing about this franchise that let Leo as a character grow. Not as personality, that he is actually growing as an adult. Because all the films, I think it was total of 6 or 8 films, I'm not really sure anymore. The kid actually grew up in full adult. This new film, he's between 18 and 20. Because this film sort of follows when Leo gives everything up to save his friends, because what happened to the last film. The last film, yeah, I'm not talking about the Legend Quest Origins, I'm talking about the Legend Quest of the Shadow Negro or the Black Horseman. That last film, Leo gave his special abilities away to save his life because the Black Horseman want his special abilities, want his body so he can take over and be more powerful. So he made a sort of a choice to give that special ability away to save himself and save his friends. Now, he's now fully mature, years have passed, he doesn't know what to do with himself. And this film sort of focuses on that, like, who is Leo Wild's special abilities? He now had to move place to place, figure out what he wanted to do, till he decided to go on the seven seas. He wants to travel around the world to explore, to understand. He doesn't know why he sort of need to, till his brother actually called him out. Like, this is the first time you actually talk about the sea. Like, what was the reason to go outside of the water? Like, you have all the adventures in your life, and yet you still want more. Why? And Leo can't really explain why. He just sort of needs to. He's almost like saying, pardon himself, he missed is the adventure, but he doesn't know how to say it. In this movie, that is sort of interesting because all the other movies, he's sort of against the adventure, against having people. Now he sort of crave it while actually knowing it. And that's sort of interesting because he wanted to leave, but before he leaves, he went to his brother for a small little package to drop in a sort of trip he needs to do between his basically going away party, in other words. But it makes this sort of fascinating. During this time, it was sort of attack a small village of La Chileques. If you don't know what it is, I won't hard to explain what the Chileque is. A Chileque is sort of like a gutter gnome, the best way to describe it. It's not really exactly a gutter gnome. It's sort of hard to explain because it's sort of like a deborn baby who is sort of a trickster spirit creature who protects the nature, but it's sort of hard to describe what it is. It's just like a small little creature. Even that the creators of the directors of this film have struggled to make the Chileques sort of work in the movie because how vague they actually are. Even the images you try to know what the Chileque is, it's not really fully agreed about what they actually look like. The only thing is sort of kind of deformed babies. They're small and they actually are multiple little things to actually tricks you because you pissed them off. And that's the only thing you need to know about the Chileques. But I feel fascinating is how they use this to be creative why they're actually attacking, because they were attacking and taking people away because someone took something very important to them. The only difference is the Chileke become so corrupted they just don't know the difference anymore who is the good person, who is the bad person. And that is just sort of fascinating because Leo is sort of stuck to drop this sort of package before he leaves, but he's sort of not sure if he wants to help out knows was wanted to help out in understanding the situation because his brother is the one who trying to convince him to help out these people because it's sort of his specialty. But the only problem is he doesn't feel motivated. He doesn't want to because he doesn't know if he can do it while help his friends and his special abilities. Because when his special abilities was sort of destroyed or disconnected, he lost his special ability to talk to his ghostly friends, the ones who always keep helping him to figure out sort of scenarios. So he has no reason to help out, or at least unsure of himself how to tackle this the right way. Instead, he tells his brother, well, he's just looking for one missing person. Anyone that can do it, even you. Because of this, his brother decides to, why not? I can help. The only part is his brother is sort of a competent idiot who has a good heart, but he doesn't know where to start and completely fails when he actually starts. But once again, he's not an annoying character, he's a very likable older brother that you truly care about, and you see why Leo loves his brother because he's just a good person. An asshole, but a good person at all. But this is the point that makes this movie so interesting. What will Leo do with special abilities? How he tackle this? How he tackle down the Chileques who are basically reimagined sort of kind of evil spirit creatures are corrupted who takes your human soul, but yet take them as sort of like aliens. Like they grab your body, drag you in their own city, and glue you into the wall to drain on your energy till the day you die. And yes, the creatures or the Chileques are very kind of terrifying, kind of unusual, but at the same time it's sort of interesting how they approach the Chileques. Now, in between everything, you have the argument of the village people between two different parties. One party pretends the Chileques not exist. We are basically mountain people. We are log people. We cut trees. We are not bounty hunters or creature killers. We just ignore this and continue in life. People are missing, we look for them. That's one party. The second party was the opposite. The opposite party wants to hunt them down and kill them because they can take in people. And this party, you could say, is sort of the evil people, the people who thinks this deserve to die, these creatures, like Chileques. But at the same time, the whole movie don't make them sort of, not make them, they don't feel they're evil because they're evil. They're scared. They do have very good strong good points of why they should take down the Chileques. Even that they know Chileques are not evil, they're pranksters, but not truly evil. But yet the other party who are basically the correct ones who want to say we just leave it alone, people are just missing, and Chileques doesn't exist. But yet they're sort of in denial. It's sort of the two basically ideas. Every time someone disappeared, you blame sort of a creature in the forest. These two factions always appears, always arguing the same debate. What is the right choice? And this is what Leo comes in. Maybe he should help, maybe he should not. This is sort of the vices thing. He sort of had to figure it out. But at the same time, I do appreciate they never really try to villainize one side or the other. They just point out little things they're not telling you, just sort of aware, like you can't pretend they people are not disappearing or these creatures are not existing. Or the other part is they're correct to defend themselves and hunt them down, but it was the sort of the limit in line. And I found that sort of interesting because they don't really Dandara is sort of just the conversation of anger of choices they make to let's say survive inside the village. But besides that, is what Leo does next. That an ancient, or not ancient, a shaman actually reappears and he helps Leo. But at the same time, Leo doesn't understand why this shaman wants to help. The only thing we knew on this film till the very end, that actually the shaman wants to help because he knows Leo is a good person. He understands. he could be the chosen one to save this small town. But it actually has methods of this movie why the shaman wants to help. The fact all his special abilities help him sort of to re-unlock his special abilities for a limited time. And this was sort of interesting because his connection to his friends back and forth are sort of vague. Like you can see them, but not all the time. So he sort of struggled to figure out what's the next plan to help him, to help his friends, and stop the Chileques. And find fascinating, this whole movie does explain why the Chileques attack. It's because one of the people in the village took a special item from them and they didn't like that. Because of this, they went berserk and wanted the item back. And this is basically the whole story of the whole film, like figuring out what is the next move of Leo. But once again, it's kind of fascinating that all this film is a setup to the next film because Leo did successfully defeat Chileques, restore order, but what cost? Because the end of the film, you find out it was a Chadronego, all he's doing to push Leo to be delayed of his trip of the seven seas, to convince him to chase his special abilities, to reactivate it so the Chadronego can take his body once again. This was basically a power move of the other side. And I found this sort of fascinating because the Legend Quest franchise never really have a main villain. The whole point of Legend Quest is basically tell kind of the fairy tales of Mexico, of all the horror monsters, of our nightmares, make it to a film after film, specifically focus on different regions of kind of myth and legends. And that's basically the whole point of the franchise. And this point they did it really great. But I think this is the first time they decided to give Leo a main villain. Give him someone a threat, always in behind scenes, waiting the perfect time to take Leo's body, and is the Charro Negro. Of course, if someone you're wondering who is the Charro Negro, think of it sort of like Freddy Krueger meets Ghost Rider, or just Ghost Rider, the Ghost Rider in general nowadays, because he's just basically collecting souls because he owes the devil souls. So he basically does his job to pay his payments. But this one sort of do some tweakings of the myth, just some like a crazy person who lived way too long, he lost his mind, now he wants more power, and he wants Leo's body because he can actually have more power. At least for right now, because the franchise has this weird way of not really fully explain the methods. They leave vague enough to continue on the franchise, but at the same time, just enough to satisfy you like why they keep doing this, who is making these power moves. And this one, this film is just sort of interesting because they decided to make things canon. And that's just more interesting because the franchise avoids it to making canon. Like they want you to know these things happen, but at the same time you don't really need to see it. You just sort of, oh, this happened. That's fascinating. And that's it. I mean, that's the whole point of the franchise. This is the only film that you get to see the last film of the Charro Negro, this one, and the next film to see this sort of small arc that even we don't know that the Charro Negro will be a permanent main villain of the whole franchises, but I will accept it because the Charro Negro is a very fascinating villain. They could do so much with this character if they know what to do with them correctly. But besides that, I don't know you, I just enjoyed the film. I wanted to talk about it. It's one of those films that I do recommend if you can't see it. Right now, it's not in English dub or English subtitles because it's especially Mexican exclusive for right now. But if you are fascinated when they actually finally move it to here in the United States, you can actually finally watch it, these subtitles or hopefully English dubs. But it's one of the films I do feel is one of the best, or not the best, at least top 3 best animated films of this franchise. But besides that, I really can't say much. I just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.